Today we're talking about the category browser. So the first thing we'll talk about is what the category browser actually is. And it's a configurable indexing tool. And what that means is it allows you to create a structure to organize your items in such a way that users that are new to your organization or without knowledge of part numbers and descriptions are still able to navigate and find the items they're looking for. So if we have a look at my database, I've got my category browser, and I've split it into documents, imports, parts, and then I have a test area. And then I can go down into parts and I can see manufactured parts where I control the design, and purchase parts. And then within manufactured, I've split it down again. If we look in mechanical, I've split it down again into more specific components. And then if I look at bearing housings, I've split it down one last time into standard parts, customer specific, and obsolete parts. So you can see that we can create a structure that you can logically follow to find the item you're looking for with limited knowledge of what the part might actually be called. Now, the reason for this, I recently read an article on engineering.com where they were looking at engineers' time and how it's spent, and it's something like 32% of engineers' time is spent searching for information and checking items in and out. So the purpose of this is to try and reduce that time for finding parts and information within DDM. Now within that, to help improve that again, we've also got a dynamic search at the top. So again, if I were to search for a bearing, I can quickly find the items in the structure that match that. So that's essentially what the category browser is. Before we look at how we can set up categories, how we can modify categories, we'll talk about who can make changes to categories. So there are two groups that can make changes. There's the category managers and category administrators. So category managers essentially have the ability to redefine the category attribute of a part, regardless of the state. So that essentially means that as your categories change, they can move items between categories and update that information. So if we have a look at my standard bearing housings, so I can select items in this category. And even though these are released, if I go to the categorize option, I can then select a new category to put those in. And I can do that because I'm part of the category manager group. The next group is the category administrators, and category administrators can modify the category itself, so they can modify the structure and some of the attributes associated to the category. And there's a few ways that we can do that as a category manager. So if I right click on this category, here I can actually add categories, I can remove categories, and I can edit them. So I can modify the tree directly in the Office environment. We have a look at the edit options. The first thing we've got at the top of our edit is a name and a description. So obviously, as you're creating your structure, you want your name to describe what's in there, but you've also got the description to expand on that to make it as useful as possible to users in your system. And then we've got some options below. We've got is assignable. Now what that means is, can a user assign an item to that level of the tree? So we're looking at the end of my structure. So I've got this set to is assignable. Is searchable essentially means that when we select this category, the search is run so we can see the items that are in that category. Then we have the is advanced category searchable. We'll talk about the advanced category search later on, but this gives us the ability to use this category in that search. And then we can also specify where the child categories are included in that. Below that, we can see the attributes that are available, and we can also see the checked items, which are attributes that I have set as available for this category. If I just go up a level on my structure and edit this level here, And we can see that I've not made this this section assignable. Now, the reason I've not made this assignable is what I don't want users to do is to get halfway through the structure and essentially start dumping items, which makes the category browser less useful. But it is possible to make these searchable and assignable. And we can also include them in the advanced searches if you wish. We can also assign attributes at the lower levels of the structure. And these will be applied to the levels below, but they can be modified after. So we'll move over to the admin tool to look at some of the options we have available in here. Now, before we look at the the category specific details, I'm just going to go into the system and config options because there's a few options here that are of interest. So when we were editing those categories, the custom attributes were tied to those categories. Now, you don't have to tie them to the categories. We do have the option to tie them to numbering. And we also have the option to use part numbers to drive category selection. But I think the simplest and most flexible option is using the category tree to drive that information. So if we head now over to the categories themselves. So here we can make a lot of the same changes, but it's an easier view to work in, I think. So we can see each of the base level categories here. I can expand as in the office environment, and we can see all the options that are available. And we can, if we select one of these categories, we can also see the attributes that are assigned. We have some options here as well, so I can select to show only the attributes that are selected. And if you've got a complex selection of attributes, we've also got a search function where we can quickly find attributes. So this is a nicer environment, I think, to modify and set up your category structure. Under the right click, we still have the options to create, edit and delete categories, but we also have a couple of other options to import and export. So if we have a look at my fixings, what I could do here is I can export these categories and it will export any child categories as well. And we can then re-import that to essentially duplicate that structure elsewhere. So the reason I'm looking at fixings is you may have some standard parts that you purchase, but you may have parts where you control the design, they're bespoke, so you might want to have the same structure duplicated across your category browser. So next we'll have a quick look at the advanced search. So there's the, I'm in the wrong place. If I right click on one of the categories, I've got the advanced search option, and if I select that, what happens is the attributes that are assigned to this category are now available directly in the advanced search. So we can, if you've got a lot of parts, you can start to really fine-tune your search to quickly find parts. And as I said before, you can include child categories and child parts. So if you were to run a similar search on a higher level, if you're not particularly sure what the subcategory is, you can do that as well. We've covered what the category browser is, covered who can modify the category and the contents of the category. We've looked at the options available for users that can modify it. Essentially, the category browser can be as complex or simple as you want. I'd recommend, if you're starting with the category browser, to start simple. It has the ability to grow with your organization, but there are a lot of powerful tools in there for you to use.